Welcome to Breaking Big, where we interview people about their careers in the entertainment industry. I'm your host, Erin Neumeyer. Everyone here at Thunder Tally Media is so excited to announce that we are being featured on the Hoo Ha Ha app under the Podcast We Love section. They are on a mission to spotlight and support women in comedy. One of the ways they do that is by amplifying women's voices, like this podcast. If you haven't already, go check out the hoohaha.com website. There's so much great content there. That's where you'll find my podcast and all the other shows featured under the Podcast We Love section. And now I'd like to welcome you to Breaking Big. This is the one with Krista Amigone. Krista is a writer, actress, filmmaker, and a mom, originally from Buffalo, New York. She danced and choreographed professionally in New York City before graduating from the William Esper Studio 2-year Meisner program. Her script, The Dancer, was chosen by Apple for their first short film challenge, and it's now available on YouTube. Recent career highlights include her short script, The Instinct, being one of 6 winners from Women in Media's Camaraderie competition. And you can watch her most recent acting performance in David Beatty's The Wastelands, The Silence of Memory on YouTube, for which she received a Best Actress nomination in the We Make Movies International Film Festival. Her most recent directorial work, Here and There, was written by Bill Ferris and is currently in the festival circuit. Welcome, Krista.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Erin, thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks so much for being here. I know you're so busy. You've got so much going on all the time. I'm just very thankful that you could make it.
Thank you.
So, I watched your short film, The Dancer, before I went back and kind of reread all of your training. And I wasn't surprised to find out that you were actually professionally trained. So was dancing your first love?
Yeah, definitely. I started when I was, I think, 7 years old, and I went through in high school. I was like on a dance competition team, so kind of like so you think you could dance type of dancing where we were versed in tap, jazz, ballet, acrobatics, just everything, just kind of, and very musical theater. And then when I went to college, I went to Butler University, and that's all classical ballet based.
Mm.
So it was, just diving into Vaganova training, and then choreography and Graham modern technique, you name it. So yeah, that's how I started in performance, was through dance.
So that was when you were a kid. How old were you
Yeah.
when you first got interested in filmmaking?
Well, I started getting interested in filmmaking. I was in college, and a lot of my housemates were aspiring filmmakers, and now they are filmmakers. And something weird in my mind, I just always assumed I had this very like antiquated thought in my head ever since I was a kid of like, okay, I'm going to be a dancer and get on Broadway, and then I can get into movies because
Mm.
that's how you do it. Like, I guess I was just like this fantasy of like Debbie Reynolds and stuff like that. So, but in college, I was like, no, definitely, I'm going to be acting. When I get to New York, and so, uh, yeah, it was just kind of this thing where I just assumed it would be coming, but I didn't realize I could be pursuing it much earlier than I did. Yeah.
So when did you move to this city?
Well, I moved to New York City right after graduation, in September of 2000. And just hit the ground running. I got my first professional dance job 2 weeks in.
Oh,
Uh,
wow, great.
yeah, it was. I was really lucky that things started to happen pretty quickly. But also had the rude awakening of that. Even though you're getting work, doesn't mean you're getting paid well, and just like this rough realization of how you need to be more than just a dancer performer. You need to have a steady side gig. You need to be hustling and auditioning for new shows while you're still in other shows, and it's just a crash course in real life. So
Yeah, that's one of the things I feel like they don't go over that much in the business of everything when you're in
not at all.
performance schools. They don't really set your expectations to hustle.
Yeah,
you
like,
know?
honestly, they should have made typing a mandatory course for my undergrad degree. I kid you not, because, like, if you're a really fast typer, you can get paid 10 more bucks an hour to be a temp. If
Oh,
you're a slow ty I'm serious, if you're a slow typer, you get paid less. So, people, no matter what
that's
your
so
art
funny.
form is, learn how to type fast. Do it.
So, I was wondering then, since I know you are more into like directing and writing now, but I think you worked as a professional choreographer. So I'm a little bit
Yeah,
curious about how you get those jobs or, what you need to get started in that field.
sure. So, just like with acting and filmmaking and theater, um, you have to be really open to different job opportunities. And here I am complaining on one hand that people don't get paid enough, and here now on my other hand, I'm saying, especially when you're first starting out, um, you have to be open to jobs that pay little to no work, so long as you're in a safe, creative environment.
Mhm,
Because what is the payment is the community you're building.
mhm,
So what you're looking for when you're just starting out of school, try in whether this is filmmaking or dance or theater, you're looking for community, because community is going to be your treasure chest. And what happens in community is that people are like, oh, we need a choreographer. It's like, oh wait, no, I can choreograph. Oh, I thought you were just an actor. No, 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 I can choreograph. And that's how I got into it. I started what was my first I started to get choreography work actually through the improv theaters in New York, because I did a lot of improv. That was my segue into acting from dance. Was like, I'm going to take an improv class because I've always kind of wanted to, and just see how I do. And I got heavily engrossed into the improv community. And then there people, through conversation, like, oh, you're a dancer. Oh, well, we've got this comedy show. Do you think you could teach a bunch of like comedians how to dance? It's like, yeah, yeah. If I could teach a 6-year-old how to dance, I'm pretty sure I can teach a 36-year-old. And it's about the same outcome, really. So, uh,
That's funny.
but yeah, that's how I got into it, is just finding community, a safe community, and opening myself up to being available to people within that community. Yeah.
That's great. I'm wondering about training to be a choreographer. Is there any
Hmm.
special qualifications to get hired as the person that, um, you know, does like teaches all the dancers how to dance for, I don't know, Beyonce?
Well, for in my experience, um, you know, a, most of my first time choreography gigs were people that knew I was a dancer and just were so desperate for somebody to choreograph that they were like, "We're just going to trust you." And it's like, okay, but little did they know is, not only did I have the undergrad training from Butler, but um, the the dance team that I was a part of in middle school and high school, I just happened to be studying under arguably one of the best choreographers for that level of competitive dance, Leonard Castellone, who I haven't seen or heard from in years. I hope he's still alive, but um, watching him as a student, I picked up a lot of choreography habits and techniques. And then from there, once I got those jobs that were given to me more out of desperation, it was people actually seeing the choreography and being like, "Hey, I have this paid gig at the New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Mhm.
Can you come over to New Jersey a couple times a week and help us choreograph this musical?" So that's how that kind of developed.
So
Yeah.
I have a question about when you're working, because
Mhm.
so my daughter is in a dance class, right? She's 13. It's like a lyrical, like I don't even know
Yeah.
what I'm not even exactly sure what style lyrical is, but
Lyrical
I call it
dance.
flowy.
Yeah. Yes. Jazz, emotive, beautiful. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, but sometimes I get sent home with a video, like, work on this with your daughter. And then I find myself going, oh, this is angel wings. This is making the way, So I'm
Uh-huh.
wondering, like, what is the type of, like, the words or dialogue or pictures or tools that you use to communicate with the director or the dancers, um, so that everybody
Mhm.
knows what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, when it comes, it's so choreography and directing are very much the same thing. You're trying to click in with the person that you're guiding, and you're trying to click in with how they think so that they understand what you're seeing in your head. Now, some people are really good mimics. That was always my strong suit as a dancer. I could mimic the choreographer that I was working for really well, and that's also why becoming an actress was so natural for me. But some people really are inspired by uh images of nature, or like or how something feels, how it should feel in your body. So just like with directing, you're looking for that way to make it click. um and when it comes to just teaching someone how to do steps, there's a lot of different ways you can access that. Some people, it's through the musicality, the sound of the movement, which I know sounds kind of weird, right? But it's like,
Mhm.
um, reaching up 3, 4, and bring it across and up and down. And so it's like you're like, some people really like, they hear the song of the movements and then they pick it up, right? But for
Mhm.
some people, it's like, just tell me what directions I'm going. So it's like, okay, reach up to the right, slash it down to the left, reach back
Mm.
behind you. It's, you got to figure out what you're working with. Now, when you're working with professional dancers, they already have their own internal translator. So even if you're like, I'm only going to teach using movement and I'm not going to talk at all, those professional dancers are going to adjust immediately and go, oh, okay, all right, that's how she's teaching us. Okay.
Mhm.
And then I also know some like in ballet classes, I remember I had this one teacher in college that occasionally would only teach us ballet bar through words.
Mm.
So if you weren't paying attention, or if you didn't know the French names of steps,
Mhm.
you're
Yeah, because for
you're out of luck.
some dances, I mean, for ballet, there's a long tradition of, like
There's
you
a whole
have,
vocabulary.
yeah.
Yeah, but when you're like, and with tap as well, tap, there's a specific vocabulary, but like jazz and lyrical, a lot of that is being made up. It's dependent on the choreographer.
Mhm.
So you can't, like, there are steps like jeté attitude, stuff like that. But like a lot of the time, it's, if you're going for a specific style, a certain style, then it's more about the feeling than it is about what the step is.
Mhm. Yeah, I found it to be very challenging. I somehow ended up having to teach. It was like an after school program, and I had to. The person that was supposed to do the choreography couldn't come anymore, and so next thing I knew, I was having to do. There were these videos from like Broadway Junior, so I had
Uh-huh.
a video to look at, but then I had to like teach the kids, and I was like, I was like trying to draw little diagrams and
Oh man.
like, I found that to be incredibly challenging, but of course, I'm not a dancer. I mean, I've done, like, Zumba, I've had
Oh
some
man.
dance classes, but it was a long time ago, but,
Well, if you're ever
know.
stuck in that situation again, please reach out to me, because like I can help you.
You will be the first person I call. Um,
Please.
so we were talking a little bit about, like, how, you're studying for dancing, but, I know, like, you write, you direct, you dance, and you act. I mean, you're basically a quadruple threat here. And then I know you've trained a lot in acting as well. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, how do you think all of that training has affected or informed your writing and directing?
It just has made me, and I know this is going to sound weird, it's just made me more of a human. Like, if, like in dance, like you're really in tune with your body, right? You're become very highly sensitive to how you feel. So when you're writing a character, like, I often find myself mimicking what that character looks like. So if like they're a person that's like very hunched over, like I'll start like acting, I'll start as I'm writing them, and I can see how they move, and I can hear how they talk, and uh, because I have this experience of like moving in different ways, and as an actor, you know, speaking in different ways. So when I'm writing, I feel like I have all these different like wardrobes to choose from. So yeah, I think
So
that's
while
how.
you're writing, are you one of those people that like stands up and kind of acts it out, or do you just have like the characters, argue in your head?
All in my head. And I think that's how where my improv training really is helpful, is because when you're doing a lot of improv, and especially if you're performing a lot and then you're like taking a lot of classes, you have to come up with all these new characters all the time, right? You can't just keep performing the same characters. And so with improv, it's like you're hearing different voices that you can generate inside your own head, and you're taking in what your scene partners are adding to the mix. And improv is really good also just reminding a writer how people really talk. Now if you're doing a period piece, yeah, so you're writing for that period, but if you're doing something that's supposed to be happening in the here and now, I don't know how many scripts I've read, because I used to do coverage for a living before the pandemic. um it's amazing how many writers forget how people talk, like they
Or
just.
you have trouble making everybody sound the same.
Yeah, that's
You
well,
know?
that's where I think like dance training comes in help in handy. It's like, how would this person talk? Like if they're always like this, or if they're always proper, like it changes how someone
Mhm.
talks. It changes everything. Yeah.
So, did you take special classes for writing or directing, or is it like with dance where you just, well, learned by doing?
With the writing, I started writing back in New York, when I was with the Collective NYC, which is a theater company I was in right after the Esper Studio. Um, with the Collective, we started writing pieces for each other to act in, and that's when I started writing. And then I started writing fiction on my own, just for my own mental health. um so a lot of that was writing by doing, learning by doing. But then I have taken a couple of classes with the UCLA extension,
Hmm.
and I'm hoping to continue those classes in the fall, actually.
Which
And
classes have you taken? Because I've looked at doing those classes, because I think this would be good for anyone, because a lot of
yeah,
them are online still.
yeah, which I appreciate. I took intro to screenwriting and screenwriting 1,
Hmm.
and then I had to put a pause on that for a while, so I'm hoping to go back. But um my the teacher I took from the same teacher for both classes, I wanna say his last name was Rosenthal. I would call him professor, and he's like, "I'm not a professor." I'm like, "All right, Professor Rosenthal." Um, but, what was really nice, because I don't consider myself an autodidactic person at all. And I think this comes from being a dancer. I like to go to a class, and it could be virtual. I prefer it to be virtual, but I like to sit and listen and learn from someone. And I like to be given a framework. I like to be given rules,
Mhm.
because I feel like the only way that you can break the rules is by first knowing them and knowing why they are considered rules in the first place. Um, so yeah, when it comes to directing though, my only directing experience was really choreographing, because choreography is, I know how I want something to look. And then my directing also comes from being a student of the Esper Studio, where I am watching my teachers coach my classmates. A lot of 90% of the learning you do in a Meisner program is you paying attention to your classmates going up. And I say this to any student: if you're going to go to any sort of class, whether it's writing, acting, directing, da 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 da, dance, you should pay attention to every single note being given, not just the ones being given to you. Because what you're learning is you're not only taking in your classmates' notes, but you're also taking in how the teacher is delivering those notes. So if down the line you aspire to be a teacher, if down the line you aspire to be a director or a choreographer, you're learning how to talk to people. You're also learning how to not talk to people, because you may find yourself in classes where you're like, wow, this teacher is treating people like absolute garbage.
Yeah, I've been
And
there.
yep, we've yeah, we've all been there. And so it just that's you're going to learn more by listening. So that's where I got my if I got any directing training, it was from being a student at the Esper Studio. And then again, when I was in the Collective NYC, we were performing for each other every Monday night, and we were noticing moments that didn't work in our friends' scenes, and being like, and so we would give notes afterwards, be like, hey, that one moment, there just seems something, a disconnect. And what you end up doing while you're helping your friends is you are becoming a director.
Mhm.
So it's so important.
Yeah, 'cause, I feel like, there's a couple good points you brought up. One, I wanted to kinda go back to improv real quick because you said
Yeah.
how you have to be present in your body, and then somebody can walk up to you and tell you, "Hey, you're actually, a janitor in a chemical like a biohazard facility." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you have to be able to switch and adapt just like that. So I thought that was a really great point. And then with the directing, I think it's really interesting that the dance and your classes helped you with that. I know you've actually directed a few projects. Like I think you directed The Dancer, and that's was one of the ones
Hmm.
that got picked up by Apple, right, for their short film.
Yeah. I directed The Dancer. I directed a series that was featured on Hoo Ha Ha once, called She's So Right, which is on YouTube.
Mhm.
It's like a very Dadaism, 80s feminism kind of thing. It's just ridiculous and fun. Um,
That's great.
and
Our show is actually featured on Hoo Ha Ha.
that's what I saw. I was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
hey, hey." And then, so I've directed a couple pieces, and the most recent one I've directed is Bill Ferris's Here and There, which we, just finished, the post on, like, about a month ago. We shot in October, and so now he's submitting to festivals and all that good stuff, so.
Is there anything that you can tell us about that project? Like, what's
Well,
the
yeah,
genre?
well, it was interesting because Bill wrote it himself, for himself to act in, with the amazing. He plays opposite the amazing Jenny Fawn, who is a wonderful actress, and it explores the death of a parent, adult
Mm,
children dealing with the death of a parent, and then balancing the pursuit of their lives and their responsibility to help their family back in their hometowns. Like, how much are you supposed to sacrifice for for yourself? How much are you supposed to sacrifice for them? So it explores that, and it's a 10-minute movie. It's What was interesting is I never had someone come to me before and being like, I want this to look like, and them naming particular show.
mm.
And it wasn't a show. I'm not going to say it because I would just want, if you get to watch it, I want you to have your own opinions of it. But I was like, oh, I don't even watch that show, so I gotta I gotta like watch that show a bit. And then what really helped though is like, okay, I was like, I see what he wants, but I'm not a DP.
Mm,
And so Bill, uh, or actually Stephen Lamort, who was the producer, who also produced Night Watch, which I wrote. Um, he he introduced me to Katie Elenecki, who she works for Sony, and she was my DP. And so when I watched the TV show that Bill wanted to, he's like, I really want to emulate the feeling of this show. As a director, my main concern is the actors' performances. I am responsible for the emotional arcs of the movie, but I am not a DP. And although in my mind I can see how I'd like something to look, I do not have the camera experience, nor do I want the camera knowledge of how to get that. So Katie and I had a really great working relationship where she's like, this is perfect for me. You let me take care of this, you take care of that. we come together, we give him what he wants. And that's what we did. So yeah.
Wow, that's good. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. When do you think it will be released?
Well, they're doing the festival circuit, so they're not gonna have it readily
Mhm.
available anytime
So
soon.
look
So
for it. Pay attention to your
yeah.
festival. Um, it's called Here and There,
Hmm.
and I actually really identify with the subject matter of that being, a middle-aged woman with family not in the town I live in.
Yeah.
It's like if something happens, what am I moving to Florida? Like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a looming concern.
Mhm.
Especially like I'm an only child. I don't know about you, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
have some
oh,
siblings, but I mean, it's like everybody's always like, okay, who's
who's
taking
gonna
this
do
one?
this?
Like,
Yeah.
so, I was wondering if there were any tools for writing that you found especially useful.
Um, well, I'm a big fan of Final Draft, which I know can be pricey, and I hate that you have to buy the upgrades every couple years. I really do detest that, but it really does make writing for screen, it just takes the edge off form wise. But nothing has helped me more than being in a writers group. Um, I back in New York, I was a part of a writers group where everyone was mostly focused on writing novels. I've written 2 novels, and it's having people that you're accountable to on a scheduled basis. That not only helps you get the pages in, but then also you're reading other people's work.
Mhm.
So you're learning what works and what doesn't work by reading other people's pieces. Currently, I'm in a writers group called ABF, which stands for Active Bitch Face. And we've been meeting. We got together at the top of the pandemic, really. So we've been together what 2 years now,
Oh, wow, that's
two
great.
plus years, and we meet once a week. And over Zoom. And even if nobody has anything to bring in that week, we still meet because we check in with each other emotionally. We check in with each other like, okay, nobody had any pages to bring in today, but what are we working on, or what can we work on for next week? um and because I think it's important that people don't feel it's funny, like some members of the writers group would be like, I feel so bad, I never have anything to bring in. It's like, no, that's not what it's about.
Mhm.
It's about showing up. Just show up. Just give us notes, because
Plus,
you're
yeah,
going to be
like you said,
learning.
you can learn just from listening or reading other people's pieces.
Absolutely.
And I have to really commend you. I have been in a couple writers groups,
Yeah.
and they always seem to unravel at some point. Like
Oh
you either
man.
lose people and don't get people to backfill, or you get somebody in who wants to take everything in a totally different direction, or or like you have like every writers group I've been in has like different structures, like how long,
Yeah.
how many pages you can submit, and all that kind of stuff. And then like somebody will be like, now I want to read a full length script, and you're like, hold on, wait a second,
Yeah.
So I really commend your group for being able to keep it going over this whole the pandemic. That's impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, we check in every 6 months, and we're like, are we liking the form?
Mhm.
Are we liking our rules? Are we liking this? And if we need to make adjustments, and we have made adjustments. We used to read everything ahead of time and then speak, and then meet and speak to each other. But a lot of people were like, it really gets me. Sometimes I can't do the reading beforehand, and then what ends up happening is I don't feel like I should come to the group because I'm embarrassed. It's like, all right, let's change that. And now, especially because we're focusing on writing for stage, or sorry, film and TV, it's like, you know what? We're going to do a 10-page maximum per person. We're going to cast it then right at the top of the meeting, We're going to read it in real time, give notes right after. And so that alleviated a lot of stress for people where they're like, okay, great. Now I don't have to worry about making time to read because I'm going to read then. And then that also, what that happens is we let people submit right up until up through the start of the meeting. Like someone will be like, I have stuff, but I was worried there would be too many people submitting, but now I see that only one person submitted. It's like, all right, email us your 10 pages. Let's do it.
Mhm.
And it's just so helpful. I highly recommend, and this comes back to the idea of community. You need a community.
Mhm.
And even though writing is a very solitary art form, um, get yourself a community, get yourself a writers group, even if it's only one other person, be
Mhm.
accountable to that person.
Yeah, and I really think it's good for the community purposes of being able to do these Zooms and actually connect with like, people that or maybe could even see in person someday. But there's
Yeah.
also a lot of like Facebook groups and like meetup groups and stuff now that you can sort of jump in on. I listen to this podcast called The Screenwriting Life. It's got Meg LaFauve and Lorian McKenna, who've
Oh,
both
wow.
like, really active writers. They've written a lot of things. You can look them up, but they also moderate a Facebook group. And I think
Oh,
through that
wow.
group, like they will sometimes do like a writing sprint. So
Mhm.
you can like log on and join in with them, and then you write for 15 minutes in the morning or whatever the time frame that you can
Yeah.
participate for is. And I think you can find accountability partners that way.
Mhm.
I have a person where we just talk once a week. We kind of carve out 30 minutes on the same day, same time every week. But like we also try to finish faster than that because we're busy. We're moms, we've got
Yeah.
kids and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
which brings me to parenting in the business because
Yes.
you also are a parent.
Yes, I am.
And
Yes,
I'm
I am.
wondering, you wear so many hats, like you're writing and directing, and I mean, you're just doing so many things all the time. How do you overcome the challenges that are sort of inherent with being a parent in this business?
Well, for sure, I've prioritized my parenting over all the rest. And if there's any faults I have in my career is that I don't do a lot of, although I used to hustle my ass off in New York all the time. um I'm not so much a hustler now, whereas now I'm just kind of, you know, when people ask me to work for them, I do it. And I do reach out to people that I already have relationships with to be like, hey, I'm available if you need coverage. I'm available to act. I'm available. Like, I let people know that I already know that I'm available. So truth be told, I don't work as much as I'd like to be working. My kids at an age where I'm still very hands on. They're in school now, so I get to write more, which is amazing. Um, I will say this, I think it's so important. um, Motherhood has made me a more efficient worker, a more efficient writer. And it's because I don't have time to have writer's block. I don't. Now, does that mean that everything I write is amazing? No. But it's like, oh my gosh, she has a short day at school today. And so I only have 2 hours. That's it. I'm getting my butt in the chair. I'm writing for 2 hours.
Mhm.
And there's this hyper efficiency that I have discovered in motherhood. And it's not that I wasn't a hard worker before, but it's like I don't have time to get in my head about my writing skills. I have to write this. I don't have time to get in my head about what needs to be done. I'm going to go with the flow. This is what's happening. I'm going off my outline. This is what's happening. Don't overthink it. I don't have time to overthink it anymore.
It's
So
almost like a benefit to have,
it is.
these other demands because then it really forces you to utilize your time really effectively.
Yeah, like if you want something done well, hire a mom. I'm serious. Hire
I
a parent.
agree. I think that you're so right. It's like, first of all, moms are amazing. We bring life into this world.
Yeah.
So, step one, right? Like, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think we have to be so good at managing a lot of different roles,
Yeah.
you know.
And it's, I also like that's like something that um I can't say it's directly from being a parent, but just I think more, but um I think this is also an observation of just going through years of and along the way meeting teachers that were emotionally abusive, or meeting and working with directors that were, not very healthy to work with. Um I don't think there's any reason to treat someone like crap
Hmm.
when you're working with them.
Hmm.
The whole idea of like um, breaking someone down so that they like rise above and like perform out of the ashes. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And so, especially having had a kid, I just, it's just a constant reminder of like everybody here is a kid. Everyone here, even if you're 50 years old, you're a kid in there. And if you're going through a rough time or something, I'm not going to make your life any more difficult. And I'm going to see how we can work together through this challenge. It's
Yeah,
important.
I think that's great. And also for any of our listeners that maybe aren't parents or are not planning to be parents, I think there's other ways that you can kind of get this, like work on this skill because there's a lot of mentorship programs out there where you
Totally.
could volunteer your time and like I think oh, I'm gonna mess it up. I think it's Girls in Focus. Like they have a
Hmm.
mentorship program where if you want to mentor a younger girl on like how to write or how to direct or whatever, I think they go up to 18 years old. So, you
Yeah,
know,
there's also
um,
like Boys and Girls Club. I
yeah,
think there's Right Girl. Yeah, to be clear, you don't have to be a parent to like have a compassionate heart.
right, right,
Just
right,
to be clear, I
yeah.
want to make that very obvious what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I don't think we were saying that. I just feel like, I interview a lot of parents on my show, and I just want people that aren't parents to know that, while I do think that being a parent does add another layer of complexity to your life,
yeah,
you can. There's definitely ways to foster those skills and things
yeah.
that they're out there if you just make a little time for them.
The other
I
big
wanted to
thing. Oh,
ask
go ahead.
you if there were any organizations that you go to, like, for support as, like, a woman in the business or a parent in the business?
Yeah. I'm a huge fan and a member of We Make Movies,
Hmm.
which is now an international organization. You can find them in New Zealand and London and all over both coasts of America. WeMakeMovies.org. You don't have to be a paying member to still be a member. They have different tiers, but they're the people that were like, "Hey, you can write. Hey, do you want to have some scripts read on stage?" And then realizing, "Oh, I can write for screen. Oh my gosh." And they were through them is how I got my work in front of Apple.
Hmm.
So We Make Movies is a amazing community of people that want to learn and people that know what they're doing, professionals and amateurs alike, that they just want to create stuff. So check them out. And they actually, it's through them that I've gotten a lot of paid writing work because now they are in a position, their production company now, where if you wanted me to write for you, you go to them and they would uh, make that connection. They're wonderful. You don't have to be a professional yet. If you're like, I know what I want to do, I just don't know how to get there. Check them out. Go to their website. Go to the meetings. They're live and virtual now. Go, whether it's as an actor, a writer, director, or a gaff editor, whatever it is. Check them out. Go, go, go. Do it.
That is a great tip. I highly recommend them. You should definitely go check out
Yes.
those teams. And so, like, while we're talking about like other things that we're grateful for, I always like to kind of focus on sharing the good things with my listeners. And and you kind of got to do yours, so I'm going to do mine. uh, so we kind of already mentioned a few of the organizations, but we just wrapped up something for the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, which is fabulous. I highly recommend you check them out. And I also I have kind of a silly thing. I wanted to thank customer service representatives
Okay.
because I kid you not, I've been on the phone this past week for like probably a total of 3 hours if you put it all together, just trying to solve this like problem that we were having. And and you get it's so funny because my husband and I have been kind of tag teaming on like who's gonna call now. And then you get on this thing and it's like, please press or say one if you want that. And we're like, one, and then it's like, say your birthday. And it's like, I said my birthday. And like, you're escalating like to this robot. And then now I'm
Yeah.
always just like customer service. And I just repeat that until you get a person. And I'm
Hmm.
just so grateful that there are still people that you can talk to that can help you.
They take a lot of abuse. They deserve
Yes, yes.
thanks for
Be
sure.
kind to the customer service person. Because the thing with them is it's not the person, it's the process. So if they can't help you, it's because they were only trained with these skills, and you just have to keep working until you can get further up the chain. But anyway, so that's those are my big shout outs. I also wanted to just say thank you to you for coming on the
Thank
show
you.
today. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us. I know you're so talented. We didn't even get to talking about The Instinct, which was your like elevated horror film that won awards. I mean, you've got a lot of great things going, and you seem to be able to work across all genres. So
Thanks.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. It was so great to be able to catch up with you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to drop all these links in the show notes. And I also wanted to say that this is the month of June, and June is recognized for several holidays and national observances like Pride, Juneteenth, Summer Solstice, Donut Day, just to name a few. But it's also the month of something that's very near and dear to my heart, which is Gun Violence Prevention Month. And I really support Every Town for gun safety. They're encouraging people to show your support by wearing orange. Orange is the color that if you're a hunter, you wear it in the woods so that you're not accidentally shot, but it's really become the color of the movement. Um, and it's always the first, I think, Friday in the month of June, but they sort of celebrate it for 3 days. So it's June 3rd through the 6th. So if you don't already have an orange shirt, you can buy one or make one. I got mine from Every Town for Gun Safety, and their little thing is like wear orange. So I'll definitely be wearing my shirt. Um, and if you take pictures of yourself, you can tag it with like everytown.org or wear orange, and we'll drop some things in the show notes so that you can follow along. There's also some other really great organizations. I know you mentioned like Moms Demand Action, and I think there's Students Demand Action, and they're all part of Everytown. And there's also, like the Sandy Hook Promise and
Mhm.
Giffords Pact and Brady United, just to name a few. There's lots of great organizations out there, and I think it goes without saying that we have a gun violence crisis in America. So I hope that you, chime in at some point this month, or look into participating in a walk or a march, or even just like posting. Or, if you are a gun owner, make sure that you're doing some simple things like storing your guns and ammunition separately at home in locked cabinets, and, stuff like that. So thanks so much for tuning into our show, and we'll see you next time.
Well, that's our show. We hope you loved it. If you did, make sure you're subscribed, tell your friends about it, and why not write us a review? If you know someone that would make a great guest on our show, drop us a line. You can find us on Instagram at ThunderTally, or go to our website, thundertally.com. This show was produced by Bex Francis, edited by me, Erin Neumeyer. The music was performed and written by Dylan Neumeyer. And our sponsor is Filmcraft LA, so make sure you go check them out. This has been a Thunder Tally Media production.